And welcome back. Our next guest is a registered dietitian and a certified diabetes care education specialist. And she joins us to share some tips on how she can gain control of your holistic health and wellness and highlight her new book, The ORAC Diet, and what to eat and how to eat. So please welcome to the show, Sabrina Hernández-Cano. Sabrina,
Hi.
welcome. How are you?
Thank you.
Now,
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you.
and I know you've done a lot of work in Florida. Are you in Miami right about now?
I am. I was born and raised in Miami.
All right. I see you have the sunshine on your face.
We've had the most beautiful weather
I
and a little
know. All right, you're
nice
teasing
little
us here
chill.
now. I know. Listen, for the people meeting you for the first time, who is Sabrina Hernández-Cano, beyond the titles and your credentials?
A very caring nutritionist for 35 years when nutrition and dietetics was not trendy. Today, fortunately, it is accepted and trending, and everyone wants to know more about nutrition. But back then, it was, it was, you said omega-3, and people just were like, what? And today it's mainstream. And so I want to help people understand where the future of nutrition is going. And finally, because people are open to listening to the message of balance, moderation, and variety, which is something that the organization that governs me, the American Dietetics Association, has been talking about for over 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it hasn't been trending for us. It's been a way of life for us.
Yeah.
And so just like back in the day, people were, saying omega, what are they talking about? Why do we need to know about omega-3 fatty acids? Today, I want to talk to you about the future of nutrition, which is ORAC, oxygen radical absorbency capacity. We're going to all be following an ORAC diet in the future, hopefully very soon, if not already. And what this stands for is for basically combating or fighting oxidative damage that comes on a
Oh,
daily basis from pollution, from our environment, from the diet that we hold or keep, and from simply aging. So we have a lot of diseases in the United States that we should not have, these days, because we have basically, medicine in our hands through food.
yeah.
And this is something that's finally being accepted. 35 years ago, it was considered, inappropriate, if you will, to speak of food as medicine. But today, we have the benefits of knowing that back in the late 80s, early 90s, scientists, particularly one, Dr. Gao, a Chinese doctor, went to work for the National Institute of Aging.
Yeah.
And what they decided to do, him and another scientist, was rank foods on an index based on how powerful or how antioxidant these foods
Uh-huh.
are, or continue to be. And they found that by having this index, we can actually recognize these foods that are so powerful that can actually take off or remove, if you will, radical toxins, radical,
Free
um,
radicals.
you know, radicals, free radicals that sit on the cell. So that's
Yeah.
basically what is happening, is that we constantly have toxins that sit on the
And
cells.
that causes
And
oxidative damage, right?
correct,
Yeah.
correct. So there are foods that actually combat this, and we have an index, spices being number one. So we should all be looking at cloves, for example. Cloves are
Oh, they're
easy
so
to,
good for you. It does
yeah,
so many
they
wonderful things.
300,
Yeah.
300,000, if we're going to talk about the numbers, 300,000 in the index of antioxidants, probably ranked number one amongst all antioxidant foods. So it's a good idea to have a nice cloves and cinnamon tea. Cinnamon is right there with cloves in terms of the antioxidant powerful um, effects that it has. Oregano also. But then we go into fruits, and we have the pomegranate, which is 10,000. So this is what the future holds. Talking more about the foods that are actually going to be beneficial to combat these metabolic diseases. For
Hmm.
example, when we talk about eyesight, what can we do on a daily basis via food that'll help us not have macro, degeneration of the eyes. And it would be spinach and corn. There are xanthins in there, and lutein, chemicals that we will know. Just like we know vitamin C, A, C, and E are antioxidants, we will know the names, the compounds of
Yeah.
these actual, chemicals that are
Lo-
in foods that are actually fighting diseases.
Lots of great minerals and vitamins in the avocado alone.
Yes,
So
and
this is
fatty
all a part of,
acids.
yeah, exactly, omega 3s. So this is all a part of the ORAC diet that a lot of people are going to be paying more attention to.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Uh,
I think the ORAC diet is a way of life. On chapter 2, I give you an entire pantry, and the rest of the book is 365 breakfast, lunch, dinners, practical, and snacks that you can have, which I've formulated using the most antioxidant foods available. So if you want to eat really clean this year, you want to eat really, it's on Amazon,
yeah.
and it's very practical. It's a book you should have in your kitchen, and you can just
Yeah.
open up to any page, and you'll have a breakfast, lunch, dinner, calorically, carbohydrate, protein, and fat balance to perfection, and also very high in antioxidant and delicious foods.
Yeah.
Um,
And now when you talk about diet, it doesn't mean going on a diet, but it just means eating correctly, eating the
The
right
word
things.
diet,
To,
correct. The
yeah.
word diet is whatever it is that you put in your mouth today.
Yeah.
So that is considered a diet. So your diet can be what you did this morning. So people have an idea about diets because there are over 17,500 registered diets in the history of nutrition. That's a big number, 17,500, and they keep adding. But we're not talking about the diet we're talking about diet as what you're going to eat.
Yes.
We've changed the definition of diet.
You'll be on
Diet
a
is
diet
actually
once you
whatever
start
you
eating
did
this
this
way.
morning.
Yeah. Exactly. Now, your background is from Cuba, and your parents, of course, the good foods that your parents made. How did your upbringing and your mom's homemade food business shape your relationship with the foods that you're dealing with today?
I grew up in a kitchen. My mom came to this country 65 years ago. I was fortunate enough to be born in this country, and to have the
Mm.
wonderful, blessings to be able to eat a variety of foods. Thank goodness that she was able to leave there because of course, communism and everything that was going on.
Yeah.
And these people in Cuba today are starving, which breaks my heart that here we're talking about an overabundance of foods, and we're talking about high quality foods when over there they don't have anything.
Yeah.
So I grew up in a kitchen, very humble, and I learned from my mom uh, that purity, natural, whole. My mom lived in a farm. My grandfather was an herbalist. He used to cure people with herbs, and
That's what they did back then. They ate from the land. They did the cloves that you were talking about and all the other natural products that came from the earth.
right. So I grew
Yeah.
up with all kinds of teas in my home. For example, it was time to sleep. It was manzanilla or chamomile.
Yeah.
You had an upset stomach, and you were going to have peppermint tea. You had inflammation. You were going to have turmeric. Today, it's become more popular. And so the herbs for me were a very common thing growing up. I had
Yeah.
herbs everywhere, and also beetroot. My mom would take the actual remolacha or the beets, and now we know because of science that our cells needed nitric oxide. We needed, after the age of 40, we stopped producing nitric oxide, and this is why people suffer from high blood pressure, circulation issues, right? And it's as easy as you just take the beetroot and you have a shot of this every single day. And this is how I grew up. My mom would talk about the
Uh,
fiber in beans and how we had to eat our protein through our
exactly.
beans, and rice was a perfect. And so I was influenced by my mother's kitchen, by my grandparents' upbringing from Cuba. That was all herbs and lots of holistic things from the farm. Everything was, of course, organic because we had
Uh,
avocado trees and mango trees back in
whoa.
my
Yeah.
home.
Oh.
So everything was my mom tried to make her little farm in Hialeah, where I actually was born and
Right,
raised,
right.
and so it did influence me. But you know, Cuban diet is not big on broccoli and spinach and
Right,
that sort of
right.
thing. So it wasn't until I actually went into nutrition school that I discovered, wow, there's a whole green world out here.
Yeah, I grew up on starches and everything, all the things that Spanish people eat and all that stuff, but there's a whole green world out there. Exactly. So what
Yeah.
propelled you to put the book together, the ORAC Diet, and what to eat and what not to eat?
What
Especially for especially for
there's another book.
diabetics. There are a lot of people who are
Yeah.
diabetics that can use this.
Yeah, I first started with books on cancer because my mom suffered from breast cancer many years ago. So I co-authored a book, or two or three or four, with Cindy Papali, on breast cancer. And then I decided that we needed to, What to Eat and How is actually a book. And that one just sells out all the time. So I don't even talk about it anymore. But that one's on Amazon. It's called What to Eat and How. It's in Spanish and English. It's a play on words in Spanish. Que como y como. Like the word como is what to eat and how. So I had to translate it according
Yep.
to Amazon exactly the same way. So in English, it sounds kind of funny, but that book I can't keep it on the shelves. That book is everything I did for 35 years with my patients.
People want to
And
know. They don't want to go to the hospital all the time and spend all that time there and all that money
a
and take
beautiful book.
chemotherapy, not necessarily for cancer, but chemical therapy. They want to
Yeah.
get to the root of the problem. Show me
Yeah.
what I can take, what I can eat, what
Yeah.
I can take as far as natural products to
And
help
I
me get
teach you
where I
how to
need to go.
calculate your own carbohydrates, proteins, and fats in that other book, What to Eat and How. This is the new baby, and this one is very practical because it's
Yeah.
talking about foods that are antioxidant
Yes.
and 365 actual breakfast, lunch, dinner, that you can open up this book in your kitchen and say, you know what, I'm going to buy these foods, have them in the refrigerator, and then cook like this. Cook and chill maybe 1 or 2 days a week, and then have excellent foods. But this is actually, you know, the one that's now. I feel like it's going to trend in the future. But What
Yeah.
to Eat and How is the coolest book ever. And my patients love it. They come to me actually because they saw the book on Amazon. And that one is always on back order on Amazon.
Yeah.
It's just, I can't keep enough of that one.
Yeah. Now, when you
So
talk
I'm trying
about
to push this one.
yeah, we're going to get that one. But tell me, you have all these patients. Mostly the patients come to you for what? Most of the patients that are out there.
Well,
What do they need help in?
my heart is on body composition and obesity. So my favorite patient is going to be weighing 300, 400, 500 pounds. And this is my rescue. This is when I have my rescue heart on, okay? Because these patients are forgotten. These
Yeah.
patients are, a lot of them are embarrassed. They don't even know how they got there. We discuss things that are very sad. Obesity, and I was obese as a child, and I was also molested. I was kidnapped and molested when I was 8 years old.
Wow.
And this is a long story, maybe for a different show, but this is how I realized that
Uh,
when you see somebody that has a lot of weight on them, there's a reason why. You just don't overeat because you like food. There's a comfort that goes with
yeah.
overeating, just like drug addicts. So when I see a patient who's struggling because they can't get a job, they can't have a relationship. I've had 30, 40-year-old, I even have a 50-year-old right now, that has never had a relationship, has never had an emotional relationship.
Oh.
And so this is who I want to help, and this is who I hope also reaches out to me. I can take them from where they're at, morbid, severe obesity, to fitness. I have, the pleasure of saying that I've had a career that has helped me reach the hierarchy of Maslow.
Yeah.
All I want to do is give back.
Yeah.
I am
And what you say,
blessed beyond words, and I
yeah.
just, I just want to help these people. I
And
really do.
also, what you're saying is that people are coming to you with problems, mind, body, and spirit.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. And
A lot of people have a story that's very painful, and it relates to the weight that they're carrying on their body.
mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't have the support. Obesity is multifactorial. It involves, physical, mental, spiritual, um, the people around you, your culture. So
Yeah.
there's a lot there. There's a lot to do, but there are tools today. There
Yes.
are tools today to help morbid obese people, or sometimes you don't have to be severe or morbid, and sometimes you're carrying 5 pounds extra, 10 pounds extra, and those are the ones that are hurting you. I've seen, especially, in our youth today who want to be very fit, they've come to me, suicidal because they have an extra 10 pounds. But I respect that because those are the 10 extra pounds that are getting them bullied, that are getting them their self esteem,
Mm.
to be so low.
Yeah.
So I respect any amount of fat that you have on your body that doesn't belong, that is hurting you, truly hurting you, should be something that should be looked at,
Yeah.
um, like any other problem of health. And this is where inflammation and
That's what I
oxidation
wanted
really
to get
starts.
to. That's exactly where I was going. Get talk about inflammation.
So,
Inflammation, how does it affect the bodies and the energy level?
yes, so the first layer of health begins with body composition. You have to
Yeah.
have the correct amount of muscle. I see people with such little muscle. And this is so debilitating. This is what happens to elderly people, right? When you have very little muscle. But it's also happening to people that are young because they're not exercising, they're not lifting weights, they're not moving their bodies. So you have to have the right amount of muscle, which is like the hanger, right? The hanger of the human body, of the bones. Muscle's important. Muscle is important. Muscle is life, it's energy, and it's longevity, and it's anti aging. Then you have to have the right amount of fat. And where we go wrong, especially in the United States, is that we are overeaters for the
Hmm.
reasons that I mentioned, before. Emotional, we have an excess, we have a lot of foods that are processed with extra sugars, extra fats that don't even belong there. They shouldn't even be there. We forget the fresh, the wholeness, right? So we have an excess fat in our body. And this is what's causing today the metabolic diseases that we see, like cancer, like diabetes,
Diabetes,
heart disease,
heart
high
disease.
blood pressure. When we have somebody that has an excess fat on their body, already, that's the first layer. When we've taken patients, and I've done this for over, 25 years, when bariatric surgery became so popular and people were having gastric sleeve surgery, making their stomachs go from this big to smaller, these patients, a lot of them were on 5, 6, 7 medications.
Hmm.
And after surgery, zero medications. So we know for a fact that when you have excess fat on your body, your pancreas cannot produce enough insulin for all those fat cells.
Yeah.
So guess what? You're going to be put on medication so that your pancreas gets a beating. Hey, this is what medication does. It gives your pancreas a beating, knocks on it and says you need to produce more insulin. Or of course, if they're insulin, then they directly inject insulin. But it's an extra thing that's coming on. So we need to take the extra human being off of the human being that's causing for us to have extra medication or extra devices to run the second human being.
Yeah.
So what I tell my patients is like, listen, you have 4 human beings on you that don't belong. let's
Right.
let's take one away each at a time. We should have the 80-20, right? 80%, 20%, 80% muscle, 20% fat. Any patient who comes to me,
Yeah.
I have high blood pressure, help me with a diet for high blood pressure. I tell them, let's start at the basic. The basics is that you've got 30 pounds on you that don't belong of fat. Oh, but I don't look fat. Oh, but no, my doctor's never told me I need to lose 30 pounds. When I weigh you with the latest technology and I show you that you have an extra 30 pounds of fat that don't belong, and we
Uh,
gradually remove them, guess what? You may not need blood pressure medication anymore. So, composition, body composition is everything. And an expert, dietitians, registered and licensed dietitians are experts. Fitness trainers are experts in body composition. We understand that that's
yeah.
where it's all at.
Listen, we appreciate you. We thank you for coming on. You're a wealth of information. You have to come back again, and you can talk
I
about some.
will.
You can talk about some of those other things that you mentioned too, and how you can use that. How you can use that to help you deal with what you're dealing with now, and help your patients get where they need to go. Sabrina Hernández-Cano, RDN, CDCES NC, registered dietitian, certified diabetes care education specialist, nutrition counselor, and author, The ORAC Diet, What to Eat and How. Thank you so much. We appreciate
My
you.
pleasure.
And
My
I
pleasure.
want a
Thank
copy
you
of
for
that
having
book
me.
because there's a lot of great information in there, and we need you to come back again. All right?
I'll make sure you get one. Thank you.
You got it. All right. We'll take a quick
Bye-bye.
break. I've got a whole lot more coming up next on Open.